Welcome back to Dagryffyn Hobby. My name's Dave. I haven't made a whole lot of progress recently on the layout, but I've got some ideas and we're going to take a look at some of them right now. First, we're going to look at this scene here because this is what I've been kind of thinking a lot about. I've gotten some really good feedback after my last couple videos. So there are a couple things I'm thinking. First, carefully move the GTO out of the way. I'm going to take that out of there. I think the wall, not going to be there. There's one of my cars with my lumber in it. One of the things somebody had mentioned was a dead end. And I've really been thinking about that, and I like the idea. These are just some old spent matches that I'd use to light the grill or something like that. There will be some sort of fence, hopefully some trees, a visual barrier between the road and track. It would be cool if there was enough room to like park a few cars. It's a dirt road, so you got your pickup truck. So maybe the pickup truck is parked there, and you got this guy here fishing or something. It's less of an actual road. Well, still a road, just not a paved one. Just kind of like a one-lane little access to a fishing spot instead of a through street or something like that. So I think that's what I'm going to go with. One of the other ideas was to add a conduit at the back, add a culvert at the back, made out of conduit, to make it look like the water's coming from under the track this way. And then it really doesn't matter on the other side if I do anything with it. And I've been thinking of leaning that way. And I'm not concerned about being able to see through it. I can kind of paint it black inside, so it's just, you can't see where the other side is, as opposed to the ones that go under the front two tracks where you can see through them. So I think that's what I'm going to do, unless I change my mind again. So more of a access point, not a road, but a parking spot, and then the waterway coming through under the tracks. Now the river still needs quite a bit of carving. I want it to be deeper, most likely wider in spots. It's too narrow right here, I think. I don't know. And then I'll paint what's going to be underwater a color. I don't know what color. And then the bank, probably the same color as this, just for now. And I'd probably put little stones and pebbles and whatnot in here, little sticks, and then figure out what to do for simulating the water. Most likely some sort of epoxy. There's so much potential for the spot here with these bridges. I feel like I really need to think about the bridge itself, and instead of waiting, I should just go ahead and make a custom bridge now to fit that space. Not anything too crazy and grand. I don't want anything too big, but some sort of maybe wooden bridge that spans that entire space. And yeah, it's still going to take a lot of thought. I kind of would like to see that just a span covering that entire space as opposed to needing the support in the middle. Now you have to pardon my mess. I'm in the middle of projects here, but this is where the viaduct goes. Initially it was a single 2-inch piece of foam stood up on edge, and then I carved the shapes out by tracing the Lionel tunnel portals. I have changed that to be a lot more stable. I have this 2-inch thick foam surface for the track to rest on. It is supported in the back by foam glued to the wall, and then in the front by these pieces attached underneath it. What I'm thinking then is to take a thin piece of foam like this and do the detail work on it and have that be the face of the viaduct. And then if it doesn't work out or it doesn't look good or I want to change it, I can take the face off without messing up the structure or having to pull up the track. Stuff. I don't remember why I took the cleaning car apart, but anyway. These tracks here that come across the front of the layout, they're straight, obviously. And I keep thinking about the difference between using this sectional track and what I've used in the past when modeling an N scale, where I would do most of the layout in flex track, and I could just kind of lightly bend the track to get little variations so that things weren't, perfectly straight. So that's, as a modeler, that's where I'm coming from, is being able to use a flex track to easily just kind of adjust to the landscape. And now I've got these that are, pretty much straight, which is why I stuck that kind of funny loop at the end there. But I keep wanting to change this inner track. It's already moved a couple times, but I almost want to put a little bit of a curve right here and send it out that way. It would be a very small angle because I'm not going to move that tunnel. It would just be, instead of coming straight across, it would go out a little bit and then meet that track down there head on. So I don't know. I don't know that that's really worth doing, yet I keep thinking about it. So I don't know. Obviously something I need to decide before I start ballasting and moving on with any more scenery. And then what would that really give me, though? It would just give me this long, weird, triangular space in here, and I don't know if that would benefit me at all. Nothing has changed over here. I kind of feel like the space under the mountain is just lost and useless, and why not do something with it? I don't know. The initial thoughts were to carve into the mountain and put like a whole mine scene in there. I mean, I really think that's something I could do much later. I don't think that, is anything that's going to be holding the layout back from progressing. So I guess I can fiddle with that idea. Also, nothing's changed over here. I still think I want to keep the covered bridge there. So I really need to, I guess, get back here and finish up the carving for this section here and get that tunnel portal area worked out. Oh, look, projects. Really work on some of those. There's some more back there. Look, hobbies. Just thought I'd mention the Woodland Scenic's track bed. A lot of people ask me what I use for the road bed, and this is what I use. It's a black foam. It really absorbs vibration and noise and is easy to work with. Well, nothing's happening back in the town. This stuff's still just sitting here to give me ideas. At some point I'll buy maybe a 3-story scale building and put it here and see how that fits the space and then work around that. I also do want to work in some of the older Plasticville stuff too, so it'll be interesting to make that all work. Now, one tip I really highly recommend is always putting your tools back where they belong. It makes it so much easier to find them when you need them. I say this because I just spent like 5 minutes looking for my Sharpie. So put your stuff away when you're done using it so you know where to look for it next time. So if this is just like a dirt area, maybe something like that, enough space to pull your truck, or maybe back in. This guy fell in the water. It had been mentioned, why not put a flat here so you don't see those tracks? But I do really like seeing the train pass behind, especially on the upper loop. The lower loop, not so much. I'm gonna think about that as far as blocking the view, hopefully with trees, or maybe a little bit of a flat here to make the rock look a little deeper. I'd like to put some trees here to block the view a little bit. That will be just a matter of fiddling with it as I'm going and seeing how it turns out. So if I'm making this a kind of just parking area, a dirt road, whatever, I'm okay then with not needing any sort of signal. So I'm still thinking of cutting this down quite a bit more to add more space. I mentioned a pond of sorts would be very cool here. And I think, you know, a little bit more of a body of water as opposed to a little stream would be very cool. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. I was just looking all over for this box. I find the box, and look at that, the tool's missing. Always put your tools back where they belong. Okay, I finally found it. Whenever I make cuts, I just try not to do them too smooth. You know, unless obviously I'm going for a smooth cut. But I like to apply, you know, varying pressure and different movements to try to make sure it even starts out a little irregular. That gives me some more room to play with. And drop my tools on the floor. And get the wire all tangled up in the track. You know, a clean workspace really is a fantastic thing. At least that's what I've heard. I'm just gonna, I guess, take some material off here. No, I don't know where that went. I better not be on the track. Found it. Do I want the banks to be smooth, kind of, you know, just mud and whatnot, or do I want rocky? No, I guess probably both. Yeah, I could take the bridge out of my way. What's the fun in that? Hopefully I can finish up this spot here before my phone dies. It keeps telling me that the battery's running out. But I cut a little bit off the back of this just to help with, you know, not having to carve too deep. Might make it a little easier. It's good depth. I think I'd have to cut it again just to minimize the amount of digging I need to do under it. I did a little damage vacuuming up, but these things happen. So now that the conduit, I keep calling it a conduit. Well, it is conduit, but now that the culvert's under that track too, I like it a little better. I'll paint it real dark in there, so it won't really matter that you can't see through it. I don't know that I want to make this wider, and as I'm digging into it, I kind of rather real rocky edges and depth than overall width. I have to get this piece to sit a little better, or maybe cut a new piece because that one's kind of wonky. I'm not sure if I cut all these angles at the same angle, so I might need to check that too before I go further. You know, there's not a lot of difference, but I'm liking it a little bit more. I wasn't really on board with the water coming from behind the mountain look. So with this here, maybe some a narrow row of trees back here, kind of obscuring the outer loop, I think it'll look pretty good, because then you have the depth, you can see into it, but you're not looking all the way through it. You're not looking for the origin of the stream. You're just seeing that it's coming from there. Kind of liking that. I'll need some tall, thin trees. So, stream, culverts, parking spot, dirt road, rural access, no real need for signals or anything like that. I think it's going to be fun. And with the trees back there in between the two tracks, it's going to add some nice depth. It will also block it, but give you the illusion of more depth. I still don't know what I'm doing all the way in the back here where I had cut for the valley to be. Maybe that'll just get filled in. The spot here that I cut for the valley against the wall, which originally lined up with where the arch under bridge was, but then I moved the arch under bridge. I think I'm going to fill that in and then not use a bridge there. I feel like it just gets too visually overwhelming with this bridge over here, the arch under, and then another one back there. I'm just not feeling it. Maybe that is something I will work on in the next couple days, is covering that opening there. Not a bad idea. So that narrow space in between the tracks, some tall narrow trees, parking spot, stream. I think it's going to look good. And one of the great things about this layout is I still picture it as a toy train layout. So if it doesn't make sense, it really doesn't matter. That's one of the reasons I didn't go for an HO scale or an N scale layout, is I would be too concerned about, does it make sense in a real world situation? And on this layout, it doesn't matter to me if it makes sense. A little bit of progress, a little bit of brainstorming, not bad for a Wednesday night. Hopefully, I can get back out here in another day or so and continue the work. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Dagryffyn Hobby.